This is how many colors you can choose from. You can make it this, this, or this. We're gonna talk about two options, color vinyl and color PPF, and what's right for you. So in order for me to explain the differences, we gotta have a whiteboard. Don't wanna get to the whole chemistry and science of it, but vinyl is actually polyvinyl chloride, which is PVC. And color PPF is typically TPU based, which is thermoplastic polyurethane. So a little bit more stretchable, less smelly, has healing abilities. This does not. So both of them, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go down the middle, have customization properties. And one thing I wanna make it clear is the color PPF stuff is quite new. And when I say new, it's like, in the last 2 years, it's just kind of like went bananas. Like there are so many companies out there that do color PPF and color infused PPF. So that's definitely something that they share. Both of them can stretch quite a bit, but it's actually different. So this is going to be what we call a dry install. Okay, so I'm gonna actually show you that in a second. And this is what we call wet and dry, okay? What I mean by that is most of them are gonna be wet actually. A lot of the newer ones that are coming out, 3M, for example, actually came out with a PWF, which is a completely dry installation. And it's basically like vinyl, but it is not PVC based, it's TPU based. So I think they do that because it's a really good, I guess, segue. If you're a vinyl installer, you can go straight into doing color PPF for your customers. This is typically thinner, okay? Most of the time, color PPF is going to be about an 8 mil thick. Sometimes they can be thicker than that, but typically it's definitely a lot thicker. This is typically cheaper for the most part, okay? More expensive-y. And a lot of the times I'm talking a lot of dollar signs. I mean, sometimes it's like more than even double, right? So it costs a lot more to make them. So that's the reason behind it. Both of them actually have, I put customization, right? But a lot of colors, okay? I mean, when I say a lot, I mean a lot, like thousands. And this is actually, I think, the one thing that a lot of people don't talk about often. And I think they should. But I found that the polyvinyl chloride, the vinyl stuff, is a lot more, to me, stable color. So I don't know if that's the right word to say it. So maybe more consistent. So what I mean by this is that when I wrap a car, right? Let's say I wrap this Model Y behind me. There are times where our customer, they have a fender bender, we have to replace the fender. I have many times have replaced panels from large companies like Every Denizen and 3M, and I have been able to do vinyl, and I can actually put it like 2 years later, and it looks about the same. Like I don't have as many issues around color stable, right? On the other hand, on the TPU, I don't really know if that's consistent yet, right? So all the blacks, like the matte black, gloss black, or satin black, those tend to be stable enough. But if you look at a red or even like a yellow, and then 2 years down the line, you replace the panel, that batch, it has to be from the same lot number, that batch number, in order for it to match. So to me, that's kind of an issue, right? So a lot of times we try to buy from the same batch, but you'll see it in the professional groups. It's like, hey, I have batch number this. Does anybody else have that batch I can buy from you? One thing that I think vinyl has right now, this can change, I think this is changing very rapidly, is I feel like in my professional experience, it's definitely a little bit more consistent in color than it is for color PPF. All right, so all of them, guys, do have satin finishes, gloss, right? You got matte, man, my handwriting sucks. They do have chrome now, right? Metallics, I mean, really all the sheens. Color PPF gloss looks insane, out of this world. And they're changing that in the vinyl, but I'm gonna give basically the color PPF, I think is higher clarity. Maybe we do less orange peel, right? So if you guys know what orange peel is, you know how like it's like divots and stuff. You see that in cars. This is just the way that it's painted. And we feel like there's a lot more orange peel nowadays, even like painted cars, right? Clear coats. So for the gloss, absolute perfect. I mean, the clarity is amazing. It looks like paint, honestly. That has changed in the last, I would say, few years. They started changing the liner. So for example, like Avery Denizen has like the gloss obsidian black, which has a lot less orange peel. And then 3M has like their line of high gloss line, which is, I mean, it is very similar to like the less orange peel gloss, right, on the TPU side. But I would say more frequently, the color PPF tends to be less orange peelish. This is probably, in my opinion, easier to remove, right? This is, oh my God, we did a video on the Cybertruck. Cybertrucks are hard to remove because it's like the steel sticks so good, but to remove it is like sucks. So durability, this is way more durable, right? And the reason being is the chemistry, right? This is TPU, it has self-healing abilities. It actually is, first of all, thicker, right? And it was designed by Essence to protect, right? They just kind of started adding a bunch of these colors. So this, by I guess like the primary focus of why it was designed was durability, right? And to protect. And this one is definitely less durable, right? And what I mean by that is because it's so thin, right? Let's say a small rock chip hits it, you get chips, but like this will be able to take like rock chips and stuff like that a lot better. And also scratches. Like this one does have some self-healing ability because of laminate that's on the top layer. However, that's, again, the main design for this was customization. This is about 3 to 5, and I'm talking about realisticness. This is typically lasting like 7 to 10 years. That's what they say, right? So that's significant, almost like double the durability. But at the same time, I don't know, most people don't keep their cars for 10 years. And this is like true self-healing. This is like self-healing to a certain degree, right? It has like minor scratches, and I'm talking like just hairline scratches. So it's like self-healing-ish. PPF to me is a little bit harder. So I'm not actually gonna put that here, but I do feel like, you know, both are, to my knowledge, and of course we're gonna say this, definitely DIYable. I feel like vinyl, and in some ways it's easier because the material is thinner and stuff like that, but in some ways it's even harder, mainly because of the fact that it's wet. I mean, it's dry install. It basically just sticks to everything, and you could revert it back to memory. But however, like not many people understand that. Other hand, like it's a wet install, so you have a little bit more chances to kind of get it in position and then try again and try again. So like for beginners, I don't know, like it depends, I think, on the person. Like some people say that vinyl is way easier, and some people say that TPU or color PPF is way easier. So it just depends on you. Both, I'm gonna put DIYable for sure. Both removable, right? So we did put that. Although one is harder than the other, this one is definitely harder. And then both do hide, and I mean hide minor imperfections. So if you have like a small paint chip, you'll see it obviously when you go really, really close, but it will hide a lot of that stuff. The other thing that it will hide is your scratches. Before I move on, I just wanted to do a really, really quick demo. This is one of our line of PPF that we offer, and this is what I'm saying. Like, there's so many things. Like, you got like forged carbon, and you got matte, you know, sand black forged carbon, and you got normal carbon fiber. I mean, there's just like hundreds and thousands of, maybe not hundreds of thousands, but like a lot. And then you got vinyl as well, and you just get so many really cool colors. And like some of this is one of my favorite colors, and I actually have it right here. It's called Sand Frozen Ocean. We did several Cybertrucks with this one, and it has a color shift. You also have that in color PPF too, though, right? So that being said, I talked about vinyl, and vinyl is, this is the Sand Frozen Ocean I talked about. You can see it's like, it kind of has that really cool feature, but it is thin, and it has these micro channels, which is really cool. And you could basically stick it on the car, right? And it has this like technology where it kind of glides like that. And then you could basically use a squeegee like this, like microfiber felt squeegee, and then get it down. Right? So this is what vinyl, polyvinyl chloride will look like in terms of installation. Now PPF, and this is colored PPF right here, you can see the liner, it's slightly different. It's a wet install, completely different. And then you basically wet the surface that you're going to be applying to, peel the liner, and then basically do this. And then I got a little squeegee right here. Very different. You get that water underneath it out. You can see this is our side black. Look at that. As far as the look, like from the outer perspective, if like you said like this were like similar colors, like I don't think you know the difference, right? However, I'm going to tell you this is slightly more, I would say this is easier to maintain. Mainly because like you can be a little bit rougher with it. This one has a shorter lifespan, right? Again, it was mainly for customization. This was built for protection, and then they added color later, right? So keep that in mind. Here's what I would do, and this is just my opinion, but based on all of these, I would choose color PPF. You know, if protection does matter, you want to keep your car for a pretty long time, love your car, money isn't a big factor. Like you don't really care what you spend as long as you get good quality install or product, right? It is typically quite a lot higher in terms of cost. You want paint-like quality film. Again, that can change a little bit, right? You can get some of the high gloss ones that's out there in the polyvinyl chloride, but the gloss is just out of this world typically. Vinyl install, I would definitely, they have a lot of colors still. Like I show you some of the color flip. They have some really cool colors. They're catching up right here, but I feel like you have just so much, I guess like options right now. And only that, like you can even do with PVC and vinyl, you could even do printed stuff. So you can do like completely customization. Right now, it's not really common to have like printed PPF. Like that's what I mean by unlimited customization. You are working with a budget in mind. You want to keep your car for a few years maybe, but you want to change it maybe 2 to 3 years. And then you don't really care as much about that protective element, right? Like I said, it's going to chip. And if you're okay with it and you can live with it, let's go with vinyl. Save some money and then use that money for other things, like going to Teslas.com and buying stuff from us. So, you know, something like that. I think both are really good options. I really think it depends on the use case scenario. But we wanted to kind of just like lay it all out because I think that's one of the first questions that we get, like, what should I do? And this is getting exciting. I'm very happy with some of the options that are now coming out. But we are working on, we have DIY kits for both vinyl and PPF, and we are currently working on some projects that we can't fully talk about. We're very excited to introduce a few other things in the DIY market. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. I am going to rip that off, but we'll see you in the next video. Click on that subscribe button.